Every 4 years, a tournament is held between some of the world's greatest athletes to determine which nation has greater sporting merit. With 43 total events, around 5 billion people watch along to see which of these demigods come back home with a gold, silver, bronze medal, or a participation ribbon. This tournament is called the Olympics. And with a heritage going back to around 776 BC in ancient Greece, athletes of the time participated in name and glory for Zeus. But now they participate in name and glory for a politician who has nothing to do with the games and wants to use it to determine that they are a superior master race.
Ich verkünde die Spiele von Berlin zur Feier der 11. Olympiade neuer Zeitrechnung als eröffnet.
After hosting the first successful modern Olympic Games in 1896, they then held another 4 years later in Paris, and added 12 new sports. And out of those 12, one became a global phenomenon that rivals an unyielding popularity to the Olympics. Football, or if you're a filthy hot dog deep-throating eagle screeching frontier exploring some bitch American like me, soccer is one of, if not the most popular sport on the planet, with over 3 billion players and many more couch potatoes yelling at their screen. With such a huge following, there is of course a huge tournament held every 4 years just like the Olympics that paralyzes the planet with 3 words: the World Cup. And that's where our story begins. I think that's enough for today. It is pretty damn hot. I wonder how hot it is today. Oh damn, it is hot. I think we should go inside. The FIFA World Cup, or the World Cup if you don't want to associate it with that evil nasty ass organization, is a soccer tournament between international football teams from 6 different confederations, starting in Uruguay in 1930 all the way to 2026 here in North America. In the near 100 years since the first, only 8 nations have won it all. Mainly European and South American teams because we are straight dookie at times, and of those 8, only 2 have gone back to back. Winning meant you get the ultimate prize, and in the beginning, it was a Jules Rimet trophy, but in 1974, the FIFA World Cup trophy was introduced. At a height of 15 inches, weighing 13 pounds, this behemoth of 18-karat gold and jade is the most grand achievement in sporting competition. Should you win it in the end, you then get to belong in a very small, special group of people holding the trophy. However, if you're a mere peasant like me, don't even think about it. You are not allowed to touch it, grab it, or even lick it. But anyways, this is a VHS channel, and as much as I love to talk about soccer, we'll be here for an eternity if I continue on. So let's go to the shelves and look for a good VHS. It's World Cup season, but I don't have a soccer VHS. Let alone I can't make a video without it. What am I gonna do? Maybe if I look in my sports section. Let's see, what about this one? No, not that one. That's for sure. No, not that. This one? That's not even the right type of football. That's fucking NFL. Come on, man. Neither that one. Surely this one. Alright, that's not even close to soccer. But I mean, there's goals, so I guess it counts. God damn it. Can't find anything. I think I might have to get... Wait a second. I think I found something. There it is. La Historia de los Mundiales is a pretty odd VHS if I say so myself. Every time I try to find this exact VHS online, I get no information on it, but I do have information on their publisher, JR Production and Distribution International Incorporated. God damn, what a mouthful. Formed in 2002 in Miami, they were responsible for Spanish language entertainment. They are now inactive. Anyways, the cover art looks as though it was thrown together on Microsoft Paint and cleaned up in Photoshop. The back is pretty much the same, but there is a cutout for the title of the VHS. History of the World Cups, Volume 3, Mexico 1970. Mexico 70 is legendary in terms of not what happened on the field, but in how people viewed the beautiful game. It was the first World Cup hosted outside of Europe and South America, first broadcast in color and satellite, yellow and red cards debuted, the classic black and white ball we all know and love is born, and the World Cup as we know it today exploded into the phenomenon we know. This is also Pele's final World Cup participation, and with his legacy already secured when he won the World Cup at 17 in 1958, he now has the task of leading Brazil for their third World Cup victory. Now let's pop this bad boy into the player and have a look, but it's in plastic, so let's let it rip. Now as we watch this tape, I'll only be talking about 3 teams. The hosts Mexico, runner-up Italy, and the champions Brazil. For those expecting USA, they weren't here. And anyone else, I'm sorry, but I only have enough time in the world to talk about everyone, so let's get it rolling. We are first greeted with a nice introduction to the tape with some very old school graphics with an 80s-like synth music in the back. Now off the rip and no hesitation, we are thrown into the opening match of the World Cup with host Mexico versus the Soviet Union in the legendary Estadio Azteca. This is not the most exciting match, with the only memorable moment being the first ever yellow card in World Cup history. Also, the Spanish narration of this tape clearly speaks over the English one, and the footage is stripped straight from the official 1970 film, The World at Their Feet.
Algunos jugadores que ya habían participado en la Copa del Mundo 4 años antes.
Mexico's second game is against El Salvador, and the hosts take them apart 4-0 in a strategic battle for El Tri's second ever World Cup victory. Mexico's last game is against Belgium, and after winning a penalty, win 1-0 and qualify for the quarterfinals for the first time ever. However, since Mexico and the Soviet Union tie in point and goal difference, the only way to separate the two from each other back then was by sorting from a hat, and the winner was the Soviets! Meaning Mexico had to go away from the Azteca in Mexico City to Toluca to face Italy's first game is in Toluca, as they face off against Sweden, winning 1-0 in a very slow game. Their second game is against Uruguay, which ends with no goals, so the tape doesn't even bother to show it. And Italy plays their final game versus Israel, which also ends 0-0. But somehow, they end first in their group and qualify to play Mexico in the quarters. Brazil's journey begins in Jalisco in a rematch of the 1962 final against Czechoslovakia. After a nightmare start with a Czech goal, Brazil wakes up. Rivellino scores a screamer. Pele smashes it home, and Jairzinho puts 2 more in for the win. Pele and friends' second game puts them up against the reigning world champions, England, and after Gordon Banks' insane save off of a Pele header, Jairzinho saves the day for a 1-0 victory. Brazil's final group game was against Romania, and the game in which the world watched Pele turn back the clock and lead Brazil to an insane 3-2 game, and with that, qualify for the knockout rounds. The first quarterfinal we see is Brazil up against Peru, who is coached by Didi, who played in Brazil's 1958 victory alongside Pele and Brazil's coach in Mexico, Mario Zagallo. In a game where any mistake by any team would be capitalized by the opposition's top striker, Brazil came out on top 3-2 in a tense Estadio Jalisco. The next quarterfinal pits Italy against host nation Mexico, and after 13 minutes, Mexico strikes first beautifully. 12 minutes later, however, Italy ties it up after an own goal by Calimán Guzmán, who just so happens to be a legend for my team, Cruz Azul.
I am sorry, my mentor. I have failed you.
3 more Italian goals later, and Mexico goes crashing out of the World Cup at home, sending Italy to play in the semis. Now on to the semifinals, in which Brazil must face off against rivals Uruguay. This is a rematch of a day that many Brazilians still get ashamed of when mentioned, the Maracanazo. "19 minutes on, however, Uruguay strikes first, leaving many back at home to suddenly have growing nightmares once again. A minute left in the first half, Brazil strikes back with a well-executed play, finished off by Clodoaldo. In the 76th minute, a Brazilian counter-strike with Jairzinho, beating his man and finishing it off for the second goal, gives them the lead. With time winding down and Uruguay so desperate to tie it up, Pele passes it to Rivellino to make it 3-1 in favor of Brazil. What the VHS doesn't show you, however, is that Brazil almost made it 4-1. A full minute after Rivellino's goal, and with the referee about to call for time, in a move that many have tried to replicate since, Tostão passes the ball to Pele, who then lets the ball go past him and fakes out the goalkeeper. Pele then runs around and goes back to the ball and shoots, only missing the goal by mere inches. Game ends, and Brazil heads on to the final once again. Italy traveled to Mexico City and faced rivals Franz Beckenbauer and West Germany in the other semifinal that will go down in history books. With 8 minutes up on the clock, Italy scores first and held on to that lead for the entire game until the final play, in which Germany ties it. Going into overtime, Germany's Gerd Müller scores, and it's now 1-2 for the Germans. 4 minutes go by when suddenly Italy ties it up for a 2. And then in the 104th minute, Italy makes it 3, and Germany's chances are slipping. 6 minutes go by when Gerd Müller once again wills Germany into it by tying it all up at 3. With pressure mounting in the air and fans foaming at the mouth, Italy now need an answer. They get one literally 30 seconds after Müller's goal and hold on to win 4-3 in a World Cup classic. Finally, after a whole month of chaos, the final is set. Brazil and Italy meet in the Estadio Azteca to see who's greater, the might of Italian defense or the samba style of Brazil's Jogo Bonito. With this match, however, it comes with one stipulation regarding its grand prize. Whoever won this match would permanently keep the Jules Rimet Cup, as both Italy and Brazil both had 2 cup wins, and the trophy will be retired for a 3rd win, per FIFA rules of the time. What you may have noticed as well in the VHS, it went from the official film to the sudden switch of the broadcast version for absolutely no reason, but fuck it, we ball. You're probably sick and tired of hearing from me, so let's listen to the broadcasters announce the goals for this beautiful game.
Jair Ugarrista 70. Prepara-se agora, Tostão, cobrou para Ribeirinho e mandou a boca na meta, pula Pelé, cabeceou, gol! Gol! Della partita era stato Bertini a prendere Bonisegna, tiro di Bonisegna e il pareggio di Bonisegna. Bonisegna ha pareggiato al 38esimo. Rivediamo l'azione, l'altro Carlos Alberto, faz o cruzamento de bola para Gerson, matou, dominou, abriu para Everaldo na linha intermediária da Itália. Avança Everaldo, rolou para Jair, pela linha canhota domina Jair, vai penetrando, atenção, para Gerson, ajeitando a canhota, enxergando, gol do Brasil! Gerson, canhotinho de ouro, desempata com um golaço, tira Everaldo entregando na direção de Gerson, penetra Gerson, jogou na área para Pelé, penetrou, cabeceou para Jair, dominou, gol! Gol do Brasil! Jairzinho, terceiro gol do Brasil! Brasil para o tricampeonato! É a vitória da... Traza para a Piazza, 41 minutos de luta e vamos ter a palavra daqui a pouco de sua excelência o senhor presidente da República. Bola entregue na direção de Clodoaldo, dribla 1, dribla 2, é o epílogo de uma festa verde e amarela. Bola para Rivelino para Jair, correu pela ponta esquerda, traiu o Paquete, passou por ele, lança a pelota Pelé dominou, Carlos Alberto está livre, correu, caminho, atirou, gol!
Damn, what a beautiful goal. What team effort, and a world-class finish from Carlos Alberto. Let's look at that just one more time. With that final goal, the game ends 4-1, making Brazil the first three-time world champion, and Pele goes out on top for his final World Cup. Now this VHS also contains a summary of both the 1974 World Cup in Germany and 1978 in Argentina. But if I had to be completely honest, this video will be longer than every video I've made so far, and this video is exactly 1 month late after the World Cup final. So I need this video out now. But if you wanted to know about those World Cups, Germany beats the Netherlands at home in the final, and Argentina also beat the Netherlands at home in the final. USA failed to qualify for either World Cup, and Mexico didn't make it to Germany, but they did for Argentina. I wonder how they did. Yeah, now I remember why I have my Mexico jerseys in the back of the closet. But it could be way worse. You could cheat your way to a World Cup. Isn't that right, you guys?